Tuesday morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we'll look at the market watch, stocks we're paying attention to, local and national stories you need to know. And boy, oh boy, if you're a Red Lobster fan, we got another treat coming your way. But man, this Middle East concept, the issues happening over there in the Middle East, they're continuing to raise just the red flags and the ire of Wall Street here as we continue to go through that as well here on this Tuesday. And we've got some tariff stories coming your way here in just a little bit as well. Treasury yields today, well, not doing well as we're looking at those here this morning. 30-year Treasury yield tops 5.33%. That's a new 19-year high on inflation. But then also spending concerns are all leading to that Treasury yield topping the 5.33% here this morning as well. Oil is also up today. Well, all of that on top of it. Well, let's take a look at that market watch. And it's, as you can tell in the expectations, the market's just there today, but it is trending negative here based off those Treasury yields and oil prices that we're looking at right now out there. Dow Jones right now is down 16 points to 53,429. The S&P 500 is down 33 points to 7710. Right now, the NASDAQ, big drop here, 302 points for the NASDAQ, 26,342. Well, the Russell 2K not doing much better, 15 points down to 3,042. As of now, the Bitcoin, well, that's down 210 points here right now. Trading is up from yesterday, about 1,000 points. Yesterday was trading that mid 63,000 range, but 64,268 is where that cryptocurrency Bitcoin is here today as well. Now, I'm looking up here as we're getting ready to go into the stock side of things. And I'm just looking to see what oil actually is at right now, because we do know 30-year Treasury, as I told you, not seen in 2 decades the level it is at here. Yesterday's high, it hit the highest level since June of 2007. The U.S. crude oil, well, it's 1% here this morning. It's at $85 a barrel, just above $85 a barrel. Also for oil. So just all around an uptick of a day here on the markets. First stock we're going to look at, we told you we were waiting for their reporting. We're also waiting for Lowe's here this week. We're waiting for Walmart and Target. Well, it gives us a snapshot into the retail world of things from the company perspectives. First stock is Home Depot. Well, yeah, decent numbers, right? 0.92% up for them. They posted fiscal second quarter results that beat expectations on both lines, top and bottom, earnings per share and revenue. They did reaffirm its full fiscal year guidance level as well. Now, they had adjusted earnings of $4.92 per share. Well, the estimates out there were only $4.73 per share. Revenue came in at $47.86 billion. That was above the $47.27 billion that the estimates were expecting, or the Wall Street was expecting. Interesting enough here, what led Home Depot to these gains? It's pretty simple. Small projects are leading Walmart or Home Depot. I keep saying Walmart because my mind's on them waiting for their numbers here, but Home Depot is gaining their numbers based off of small project repairs that people are doing, right? We're all stuck in our homes with interest rates the way they are. Small repairs, small replenishments are happening, causing Home Depot here to have the growth here in sales. Next up, we're going to look at Tesla out there. Go from Home Depot over to the electric car maker / battery maker / all things environmental side of things. 0.62% down for Tesla today. Well, the information, that daily reporting magazine, they reported that the Tesla is preparing for an August launch of its Cybercab. That's the robo-taxi without the steering wheel that he's been presenting on and everything. So they announced an August launch of the Cybercab. This has been delayed a few times now, and their stock for Tesla goes down 0.75% with that announcement here today as well. And then there's Fabrinet out there. They're an optical product manufacturer. No, folks, I have no idea what Fabrinet does for a living. I just know they're an optical product manufacturer. But why were you looking at their stock? Well, because they're down a big today as well, 16.47%. Their fourth quarter earnings and revenue did, in fact, exceed expectations. They even issued really good guidance moving forward, and they're still down 16.64% on the day. Fabrinet did say usual Q1 expenses seasonality is expected to create a temporary margin headwind in fiscal quarter one 2027. So it's their margins for revenue, their margins and gross profit are what they're warning you about. Everything else looks good around this company. 17.20% down based off of that news. And then when we come back later on and look at stocks, we're going to look at the language app Duolingo. We're going to look at some memory stocks, Micron Technology and SanDisk as well. Let's see how they're doing here on this Tuesday coming up as well for them. Now, in terms of stories here, right? We have tariffs kind of rearing its ugly head off and on as we talk about that a lot. We'll talk about them in just a minute. The Nasdaq's doing something that's going to be fascinating to see how that results and how much that changes stocks and things coming up for that level. Well, first I want to talk to you though, because the U.S. and Canada, yeah, they are behind the scenes negotiating. They're trying to reach a truce on the tariffs because 12:01 a.m. Wednesday morning is the deadline set by President Trump for those tariff increases that he's already announced against Canada. So if no deal is put together here, Trump has threatened to impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian products. So everything, hockey sticks, all the way up to, what else they bring in here, tongue depressors, etc. Now, there's a lot of exceptions in this number, but things that are used a lot down here in the United States. Canadian Prime Minister, I saw his reports yesterday. It was all over the Canadian news outlets saying basically we are negotiating, is what he said as well. Now, he said the negotiations are very intense and delicate. This is not the time to talk about negotiations in public, right? You don't want to upset the U.S. negotiators by saying something inappropriate or incorrectly. Does that mean a deal is imminent? Well, we'll have to find out here because we are less than 12 hours, well, just over 12 hours, 16 hours away from that deadline. Now, the two presidents, or Prime Minister of Canada and the President of the U.S., Carney and Trump, well, they spoke by phone Monday afternoon about the negotiations. Now, that we get that information from the Canadian side of the office. So this is a big last-minute push to reach a deal before the deadline coming up later tonight. Now, we know, of course, Canada and the U.S., they've wrangled over decades over trade, right? It's been attacked for a lot of time, but they always stayed in lockstep and everything. President Trump is kind of, even though he's kind of in lockstep, he's putting these tariffs on. It's not just talk. He's putting these tariffs on, which has affected the relationship between Canada and the United States, especially on the public side of things up there in Canada. Now, we're a large trading partner to Canada. How much? 72% of Canada good exports last year came down here to the United States. Obviously, huge numbers there. And if tariffs go up, that means less will be exported down to us down here. The Trump administration, well, from their perspective, they might be getting weary of imposing that 50% tariff. Obviously, we know how this works, right? Paid by U.S. importers, who then most of them will pass that along to consumers by raising prices. Well, here's the problem. We have a midterm election coming up in November, and it's quite the battle out there. Well, American voters are showing in polling that they're already frustrated with the high cost of living. And if you add more cost to that, could they turn against the president's party here with these elections coming up? So this isn't just Canada has a ton at stake. It's also the United States does as well moving forward. So we'll see if a deal gets done and in place here before the deadline here. 12:01 a.m. Wednesday, which basically means tonight, folks, is what we are looking at from that side. We've talked a lot about the strategic oil inventories. We know oil is up again today, about 1%, over $85 per barrel. But those strategic level inventories, as we've told you here at McCollum on Business, the concern is inventory levels now. Well, they know that those inventories and the strategic oil reserves has reached a 40-year low. Now we're hearing that some of the experts out there say the continued depletion, they're already at a level, and the continued depletion of it could damage the underground caverns where the reserves are stored. Yeah, so the Strategic Petroleum Reserve last week, we told you this story here at McCollum on Business. They plunged below 300 million barrels for the first time since the 1980s. That was when the reserves were actually being filled at that time. We get those numbers from the Department of Energy. Now, the strategic reserves is expected to drain further. Supposed to expected to go down to 243 million barrels because the U.S. is in the middle of releasing that deal that they had at the beginning of this Iran war, 172 million barrels over time to manage the supply disruptions and try to keep the gas prices and energy prices as low as they can due to this war. The reserves are kept in. This is what I found interesting. Where are the reserves kept at? I knew they were in caverns underground, but they're actually kept in 60 salt caverns across two sites. In Texas and two sites in Louisiana is where they are at. Thousands of feet underground is where they're located, which we knew. I was more surprised about the salt caverns is where they are. So they have a total storage capacity of 714 million barrels in those three sites. But when oil is drained from the reserves, the integrity of the caverns might have an issue, is what they're warning about now. Especially the lower it goes, it's used to having pressure up against some of the columns. And they're saying as that depletes down, that pressure could dissipate and we could have some cave ins, which would obviously shrink the size of these reserved areas. Now, the Department of Energy has denied some of these claims that changing inventory levels could actually risk harming the caverns. They say there's no danger of that, but some experts are floating that out there that we could see damage there as well with these levels getting as low as they are getting as of now. And I kind of told you here earlier when we were talking about the market watch, the NASDAQ is going to try to do something. They have to get regulatory approval, but the NASDAQ came out and announced yesterday that they're going to begin trading U.S. stocks for about 23 hours a day starting Sunday, December 6th, is what they want to do, and then continue on after that. Now, it is, like I said, they need regulatory approval. The SEC has to approve it, but that means NASDAQ's trading day will go from Sunday evening to Friday evening with barely a pause, basically an hour just to kind of reset out there as well. Why are they doing this? So, what's the reason? European investors, folks. There will be a new window of 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern time. And then it'll be a 3 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is CET time for them as well. So basically, Europeans could be trading NASDAQ listed stocks for almost an entire session before London even opens. Yeah, overnight. Now, we know NASDAQ and all the markets here, they run that extended session from 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. here in the United States time and the Eastern time. That's what we call the pre-market session here, where right before the market opens. So when we do our time change here in a couple months, we will be reporting on pre-market numbers because the market don't open during our showtime, or at least until 7:30 at that time. Now we get 6:30 a.m. market opens as well. So the after-hours session comes out afterwards as well, as NASDAQ's already runs that as well. So now they want to combine that and have access to that early and large trading session that has been exclusive to institutional investors so far, and anybody will be able to. So you could go to sleep with the stock doing well on NASDAQ, and you can wake up with the stock doing not good on NASDAQ as well out there. Now, NASDAQ framed the expansion as a way to broaden investor access and even expand wealth building opportunities for everyone on the market instead of just those institutional companies out there. Now, NASDAQ made this announcement yesterday, but they're not the only one moving to this. The New York Stock Exchange, they've already won SEC approval for that 22-hour day running. So they've already approved it for them. Now, the largest contract or largest exchange for options contracts in the U.S. is the CBOE. Well, it's outlined similar ambitions to extend out to 22, 23-hour windows as well. So we're seeing more and more of extended timeshare. And it's just pretty much to the point where kind of like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, it's traded almost 24 hours a day, if not 24 hours a day. That's why sometimes on Friday, we can look at a Bitcoin and let's say it's trading at 65,000. We could come in on Monday, the market barely opens and it's at, 60,000, 59,000. because it's traded over the weekend as well. So we're going to see that with our regular indexes coming up. As I'm assuming if the New York Stock Exchange got approval, the other sites will get them as well. The lawsuit that I says never dies, the Paramount Skydance lawsuit with Warner Brothers Discovery, well, with the states, I should say, the 29 states. Well, another wrinkle here. Paramount Skydance is going to seek to force the states holding up its merger. Well, they want that state to pay for the fees and costs associated with the delay. Make no mistake about it, this filing with the anti-trade, the new filing here in this case that was filed yesterday by Paramount Skydance, it's to put kind of fear in the hearts of these states trying to hold up this merger for this next year because of the fees it costs to it. Paramount is requesting a $1.88 billion bond that would be posted by the states behind the lawsuit. Yeah. This is that lawsuit where back in July, a dozen state attorneys generals. Now, this is the one led by California's AG, Rob Bonta. They filed to challenge that $110 billion merger. This is that lawsuit there as well. Now, Paramount, they had planned to have the deal closed by the end of September. They've already gotten EU approval, UK approval, United States government approval. That this deal is good to go through. The states now and some other lawsuits from actors guilds, etc., or writers guilds, they're kind of holding this up now from that legal standpoint. But the problem is the delay is going to be costly for Paramount. When the deal was kind of put in place and Paramount won the deal over Netflix, when that whole battle happened, Paramount agreed to a ticking fee, is what they call it in the contract. So this was all put in the merger agreement. So beginning September 30th, Paramount Skydance would pay Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders an additional 25 cents per share per quarter until the deal closes. So that could add up to about $650 million in cash value just per quarter that this deal is out there every 3 months. Now, AG Bonta, California's AG Bonta, he said in a statement that, quote, Paramount and Warner Bros. Are two sophisticated companies who willfully decided to include a costly ticking fee as a provision in their merger contract. They knew this merger would undergo regulatory review. They knew it was not a done deal, and they chose to include it anyway. That was their response. Now, Paramount Skydance says, hey, that $1.88 billion, that's just the cost of that quarterly fee going until June that they're out there. So, they didn't add any additional fees on top of that and things to that effect. So, regulatory reviews, it's down to the state levels now kind of holding it up. We'll have to see where this goes because if the states have to put up a $1.88 billion bond split between the states, are they willing to even do that? That's kind of where this pressure is coming from the Paramount Skydance side of things. We'll have to see. New wrinkle put into that lawsuit here as well. And move over to the story of sports here. And also, it's a story of sports, but it's also a story about how families can be ruined, especially second generational wealth out there as well. And Mark Walter, he's the owner of the Lakers. He owns the Dodgers, the Sparks, a couple other sports franchises, and he immediately sold the Lakers, no bidding process, to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner last week. For $12.2 billion. $2 billion more than he bought it for just 18 months ago at $10 billion. He's having to do it because he's having to pay back loans because federal government isn't liking what he did to assure those loans from his insurance company. So to avoid some legal problems, he's trying to liquidate and pay those loans off as quickly as possible. That's how the deal went down. Now, the Buss family, who owned the team until they sold it to this gentleman here, Mark Walter, they're just minority owners here with the team. And the Buss family, with this new deal with Iger and Kirshner, well, it's relinquishing its own shares to the new majority owners. We think they are. Most of the family, there's a trust out there for the Buss family. Dr. Buss, the patriarch of the family, put together this deal where he has 6 kids. And majority of the kids have to vote for any way to sell the team, to keep the team, etc. And they have to abide by those rules. Well, not everybody abides by it. Earlier yesterday, ESPN reported the Buss family decided to actually sell the remaining 17.8% ownership stake in the Lakers. and they're going to sell it to Kushner and Iger at that point. Majority rules, everybody but one person voted to sell those shares. Now, the family trust includes all 6 kids out there. They received majority votes to allow trustees to execute the sale, was what the reporting was. The vote required 4 of 6 to agree to sell to enact the tag-along provision on Mark Walters' sale to Kushner and Iger. So, like I said, they're 17.8% share of $12.5 billion to these 6 family members that control this trust. Now, ESPN added that once the transaction's been completed, Jeannie Buss will no longer have the required ownership percentage to remain the governor of the Lakers. She won control of the Lakers over her brothers back in 2017 to kind of be ahead of it. And when she sold the team to Walter, she worked out a deal where she would be the governor of the team and still control it. And all you need in that point, according to NBA rules, is you have to have 15% of the interest of the team in order to be a governor. You can't go less than 15. Obviously, if you sell 17.8%, you will have less than 15%. So Jeannie Buss is not happy about this because she likes control of this team. Jeannie Buss's lawyer wrote a letter to the lawyers of her siblings explaining why she believes they can't sell their minority stake to the new Lakers minority owners. Yeah, the last paragraph of the letter, the attorney writes, quote, "On behalf of Jeannie Buss, I demand that your clients make clear publicly that Jeannie Buss is the controlling owner of the Los Angeles Lakers and that your client shall take no action on the supposed vote to sell the 17.8% stake." This is an amazing battle here between siblings. 4 out of the 6 siblings just want their money and to move on with their lives. Jeannie Buss wants the control of the NBA franchise, and she's the oldest sibling of the group. And it's all going to come down to the wording of this trust, which I've read in circles that the 6-member trust is binding here. So Jeannie Buss is trying to hang on. We'll have to see where it goes. Now, Jeannie Buss was the only sibling to vote against this deal. 5-1 was the actual vote here in this as well. So she was the only one out. So if this deal goes through where the Buss family relinquishes their 17.8% of the Lakers, well, that Kushner and Iger, they'll then control 83% of the Lakers at that time. Right now, they're slated to have 65% of control, just with Walter's shares, without the Buss side of things. So obviously, they'll have the majority control. They're out there, but Jeannie Buss was supposed to be governor for 5 years, and folks, she loves the power. She's also ruined the Lakers since her dad has died as well. And so it's a business thing of, leaving large, expensive entities to your kids. They'll just fight over it. They'll just hate each other for it. The kids don't like it. To be fair, they didn't like each other before Dr. Buss died. But Dr. Buss should have just sold the whole entity and split the cash between everybody. Otherwise, this family is just broken, falling apart, fighting constantly. So 2 lessons here from business to personal for those of us getting older and leaving some things behind to our kids out there as well. We like to think the kids will get along. They don't always do that, folks. Hey, when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling as well. We got a bunch of local stories coming your way. Red Lobster's bringing a popular item back again because it was so popular in April. We'll tell you about that coming up. Plus, another look at the market watch. Oil up, Treasury yields up today. Market's probably still going to be down, but we'll do another look at it here on this Tuesday. Come on back. McCollum on Business. we're back here. McCollum on business here on this Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us live here on YouTube, TME Media AZ, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Well, as long as markets are open out there. And of course, we go right into the main event as well, live here on YouTube, TME Media AZ, 8 to 10 a.m. Me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hellestrey get you updated on the sports world. And boy, is it just crumbled everything up last night on what we are going to talk about. We got to talk Diamondbacks and Ketel Marte's situation. Bruce Cooper comes in on Tuesdays as well. His opinion on that are going to be interesting to listen to live 8 to 10. If you can't watch us live because you're getting ready for work, you're at work, your boss is meanie, well, catch us on demand later in the day on YouTube and also over on Rumble. For if you don't like YouTube, Rumble is an option for you. All of our programming's over there, and Rumble is exclusive to The Real Matrix as well. Last Friday at noon, a Dr. Fauci episode went up. Another follow-up episode of Dr. Fauci coming this Friday as well for The Real Matrix at noon. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. Find us over there. You can also search The Real Matrix, Angry Patriot on Rumble. It pops up as well. And then, of course, every show except for this one, McCollum on Business, has its own free podcasting system as well. From the pit stop to the main event to The Real Matrix, free podcast systems for those of you that rather listen to the programming. Just go to your favorite podcast system, Apple, Google, Spotify, Apple. I probably said Apple 3 times. iHeart, Podchaser, all of your ones. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can catch it up over there as well. Just search the show names, whether it be the pit stop with Steven, the real main event with Steven, the main event with Dale, the Real Matrix, Angry Patriot. It'll pop right up for you over there as well. And Ann says, can't wait for the Marte talk. The question is, Anna, can I do it without swearing? Is going to be the bigger question. And I can tell you this: the Marte fans were out in prevalent motion yesterday on the social media platforms, and the people will defend Marte to the ends of time. I'm not sure I can do that very much longer. I haven't done it for a while. I wonder if I could keep it going. But that's coming up on the main event, folks. And then Ann says, sure, siblings can get along unless large sums of money are involved. There comes a point in time where I hate to say this, but you cannot leave your kids something worth in just an ungodly amount of money. You just can't. They're going to fight over it. Sell it, require the selling of it, and then split everything up, and the kids can go do their separate things with their large sums of money and all of that stuff. It's the easiest way to do it, especially when they didn't get along in the first place, which is like the Bus family. They always had some battles out there and things to that effect. So just a business and life exception out there is just second generational wealth, folks. I have my own theories about that, and it's usually not good. There are some exceptions, but it is not usually good on how the people act and react to things and stuff to that effect. Hey, enough of that silliness. Let's get into the market watch. Treasury yields highest levels in 19 years or so. And oil up to $85 a barrel today, about up 1.5% or 1.2%. It looks like oil is right now as well. Well, meaning the market is doing what it's doing. 5.33%, by the way, for the third-year Treasury yield. Spending concerns are an issue, so the markets are down today. Dow Jones down the 47 points right now. S&P 500's down the 37. NASDAQ's down 284 points, and that's gotten better since the market opened, and we first looked at that earlier today. Well, then the Russell 2K down 16 points here as the market has continued. About an hour into the market being opened right now. Now, Bitcoin's flipped a little bit. They're on the positive side, 467 points up. But they're at 64,960 today, coming back up to that 65,000 level. Yesterday on Monday, they were at 63,000. Boom, there it goes. Just hit 65,000 before dropping here for a few seconds out there as well. We told you earlier we're waiting for Walmart, we're waiting for Target, we're waiting for Lowe's reporting because of those are retail stores and large retail stores. Their numbers are going to tell us kind of if the PPI and CPI reports that we're seeing, retail sales reports, are accurate. We told you earlier, Home Depot reaffirmed its guidance, even though there is the frozen housing market conditions out there on the market. So it'll be fascinating to see how Walmart, Target, Lowe's, for instance, battle it out here on their with their reporting here as the week goes on. Stocks we're paying attention to in this section: Duolingo out there, the language learning program app, 5.16% up for Duolingo. DA Davidson, that investment company, upgraded Duolingo to buy. It was a neutral on their platform beforehand. Here's what they said in the blurb. While we think the market has historically priced the risks related to daily active users, deceleration, and monetization issues effectively, they say Duolingo is nearing a turning point. What they were saying was people will log into Duolingo, do a little bit of work for a little bit, and then just quit it for a while and then possibly go back to it. So the average active dailers on this site has always kind of struggled a little bit, right? Things. Then which means monetization issues happen with the inconsistency of the people logging in to learn a language, not learn a language, realize it's too hard, stop it, life happens, etc. Well, D.A. Davidson is an investment company, says Duolingo is nearing a turning point on those two things. We'll have to see where it goes, but Duolingo up 4.95% here today as well. And then memory stocks, just because we like to check this up and down roller coaster from these stocks. Micron Technology is what we're going to look off today, down 6%. And chip makers are pretty much down as a group today. Again, folks, no reason. Just it's time for them to go down. SanDisk is the other one we're going to look at. Also big down today as well for SanDisk, 7.23% also today for those memory stocks. And ride the roller coaster of the memory stocks. I can tell you this, if you break away from the daily up and downs, these stocks are way up over the last year. I think SanDisk, and I told you earlier this week, they're up like 400 or 500% this year alone. Yeah. They're big numbers here in those memory stocks. You just have to ride that wave up and down. That's part of the problem. Now, Banner Health, big operations here in the Valley and over several states, but the big fight is happening around unionization and those stuff here with Banner. And what they're saying from the worker side of things is operation staff is making most of the decisions, which means bean counters, if you want to go to a non-technical term here, making the decisions instead of clinicians and doctors. Yeah. Clinicians used to have a bigger say, and now the office people, the operations staff is making those bigger decisions because it's affected by money out there. Well, that's all leading to the election on whether to form a union at Banner Health. Now, Banner Health, remember, this is a big deal because they claim themselves as Arizona's largest employers. And I know they're there. I don't know if they actually are number one. I know they claim it that way. But they're up there in the first couple. If they're not number one, I'm sure there's a fluctuation there as well. Doctors, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, well, they have about a week here to return their ballots on whether to go union or not. Now, these ballots are scheduled to be counted on September 2nd. The vote now happening, well, it's a right-to-work state here in Arizona. Employees cannot be forced to join a union or even pay dues. So even if they form a union, doesn't mean the workers have to join it as well. Now, if the votes are successful, the next step would be to negotiate a labor contract between Banner and the union. Now, this is for Arizona. Banner does operate 33 hospitals within 6 states. 250 providers are voting on whether to unionize work at 31 clinics throughout Metro Phoenix by itself. This is a big deal, folks. Now, Banner is a nonprofit. It took in about $16 billion in revenue last year. That was a $376 million increase from the year before. And what the clinicians and doctors are saying? Well, they're doing it based off of their profits are up because they're ignoring the health and the right care for patients. And they're doing what makes them the most money, not making you better or healthier out there when you go in to see them. That's alarming, and that's not something hospitals should be doing. So we'll see where this union vote goes and how it kind of affects everything moving forward as well. And we constantly talk about housing here in Arizona. We don't have enough of it. Houses are through the roof. Interest rates, right? Treasury yields going up means interest rates are going to be up as well today, folks. We talk about all of that stuff out there. Rents being through the roof. Well, we have the annual State of Housing in Arizona report that is officially out. We get this from the Arizona Research Center for Housing and Economic Solutions. Well, they claim there's some encouraging signs from their perspective. The report does say rent prices in the state, well, they've been leveling off. Obviously, years of skyrocketing increases as well. But they also said, in kind of a positive, home construction is at its highest point in about a decade. So those are the positives they list in this reporting. Now, the housing shortage is a big problem, but it's mainly a big problem for the low income renters out there. The report counts more than 170,000 Arizona households, and they call those extremely low income levels. But they say the problem is fewer than 80,000 rental units for those families that they would be able to afford. You can see about over half of that amount they can't find affordable renting when they're that on that poverty level. The report notes housing costs in the state they've outpaced wage growth, which anybody that's got a house lately or rented anything, that's the case. Housing costs increased 38% for Arizona renters from 2014 to 2024. Wages grew only about 29% during the same period. About an 11 or 9% difference there. Well, Arizona households, that's not just housing, right? Not the cost of your rent going up, things, your insurance is going up, your utility bills are going up, your food's going up. That's putting the extra pressure on the housing side of things. So they claim a couple positive rents leveling off. I've seen in some cases, right? I dabble in the rental markets. I've seen rents actually going down. I don't get too many vacancies, to be honest with you. Luckily, I've got some long-term renters in there with the management company I have that do a great job at working with them. But the ones that we've had to get renters into them, I know there's been rent decreases that have happened in that time frame as well. So we're actually seeing some big changes here as well, and out there in that rental market. Now, this is a precautionary tale for everyone because it's coming. Prepare for it. And we're seeing it first right now. We know Gilbert's gone through a bunch of increases the last several years, but now the city of Chandler announced that it's planning to increase utility rates. Well, they say it's because of their higher operating and capital costs. So this proposal, a lot of increases coming your way in Chandler as this goes through. 9% water increase, 6.5% wastewater increase. Reclaimed water going up 9%. Your solid waste increase would be 4.5% when this goes through. And I say when because they're pushing it through, folks. Now, the city said residents who use 10,000 gallons of water per month, well, they would see their costs rise by about $5.73 a month. The city of Chandler did, in fact, include a calculator on their website that residents can use to estimate how the utility bill will be impacted based on their usage. The rate comes, and now 10,000 gallons is a lot. So for that $5.73, sorry, folks, I was trying to hold that in. The rate changes come as chemicals and electricity. Those are two things that you have to have for safe drinking water and wastewater treatments. Well, they continue to see the higher costs. As we know, electricity, right, on that side alone. But then you add those chemicals. But contracted costs for solid waste and recycling collections, even waste hauling, they've seen huge increases, no doubt due to energy prices with gas. The rate adjustments for water, it'll be applied equally across all customer classifications. Everything, single family, multifamily, non residential, landscape, industrial sites, all equally spread between them. For instance, wastewater, single family, multifamily, and non residential customers, you'll see equal increases in that as well. Now, there is a public hearing regarding these rate increase proposals. It's going to be held during the City Council meeting on October 15th. And then the proposed rate changes, they'll be ratified there in November's meeting, which I think was November 19th. And then these rate changes would take effect on or about January 4th of 2027 from the Chandler side. So whether you live in Chandler or not, you're going to have increases coming for your city numbers coming up here. Just Chandler's the first one that we've seen this year for those increases as well. And folks, Red Lobster fans, get ready because you remember they brought back their endless shrimp promotion back in April. Yeah, well, it was a rousing success. You all went and got it because they're bringing it back again coming up here. Red Lobster, this was a news release that came out yesterday. Endless Shrimp is back for a limited time. It actually started yesterday. And they're coming out with 5 new flavors this time. Remember last time in April, they had new flavors as well. So here it is, the 5 new flavors. The new garlic bread crusted shrimp, crispy shrimp coated in a buttery garlic breadcrumb crust and served with marinara sauce. It's also going to have a shrimp linguine Alfredo, which will be tender shrimp tossed in creamy house-made Alfredo sauce over linguine. You get the garlic shrimp scampi as well, which is shrimp sauteed in a garlic and lemon butter sauce. Hey, if you want some tropical shrimp there, Parrot Isle coconut shrimp will be an option for you in this new flavor. Hand-breaded jumbo coconut shrimp served with pina colada sauce. Hey, and if you just want whatever Walt's favorite shrimp is, well, you can get the Walt's favorite shrimp as well as a flavor. Hand-breaded butterflied shrimp, lightly fried and served with cocktail sauce. That's right. 5 new flavors there for the endless shrimp platter there for Red Lobster. Now, they're also introducing seasonal happy hour margarita platform, as well, along with their fall-inspired cocktails. Things like the new Fire and Tide Margarita. That's going to be a bold blend of Cuervo Tradicional, Blanco Tequila, and Fireball Whiskey. Part of Red Lobster's new seasonable, drinks that they have out there. They're available for $5 during weekday happy hour, which is from 3 to 6 p.m. But they're going to have Old Salt Smoke Old Fashioned. That'll be bullet bourbon with spiced brown sugar. Or you can try the triple berry sangria. Yeah, Beso del Sol red sangria with the berry mix on that one as well. There you go. Choices galore at Red Lobster. Of course, same things apply. Dine-in only. Not available on holidays. So no Labor Day coming up as well out there for that side. So Red Lobster bringing that back. But our last story here today kind of makes me laugh a little bit. For you married for a long time, you don't remember these days, but the situationship, right? The summer, the summer vacation, person you hung out with and stuff like that. And summer ends, seasons change, romances fizzle out as well. And those situational ships, right? That they're out there. Well, Carl's Jr. is encouraging fans to raise their standards to the max. That's what they're calling this. They're celebrating everyone who's ready for something real, spicy, bold, and uncompromising. Get rid of those situationships of the summer. Yeah. So it started August 12th, but it goes through August 21st, so you still got time. Carl's Jr. is inviting fans to raise their standards to the max by anonymously sharing the summer romance. Or that or the situationship, I can't say that word, or dating disaster that finally convinced you to stop settling. Just go to carlsjr.com and you'll see the link there for the spicy chicken max to put your story in there. The first qualifying My Rewards members will receive a digital offer for a complimentary spicy chicken max, which is a bold, no compromise sandwich, as they say, built for people who expect more. So if you don't know what the spicy chicken max is besides that little promo bit, well, they say it has 2 crispy spicy chicken patties, sliced pepper jack and American cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickles, mayonnaise on a seeded bun. There you go. You can also add, if you want to make it more spicy, you can make it fiery. You can add fiery sauce and jalapenos for just an additional 50 cents, folks, out there. So what a way to bring out a new sandwich there for Carl's Jr. Get out there and tell your summer disasters stories there in Carl's Jr. You can try their new burgers out there, folks, through the 21st here of August. So get in on that as well. And folks, appreciate you joining me here for McCollum on Business. We got a big show. I mean, I was all ready to talk about all this other stuff. Had to crumble it up, throw it away because of Marte decided not to show up to work yesterday. All that talk coming your way with Dale Hellestray. Bruce Cooper comes in here as well by 9 o'clock is when he'll be in for that, but definitely at 9 o'clock. Catch us live here on YouTube, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. McCollum on Business.